Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Had today off. Today's Tuesday, April 1st. April Fool's, not an April Fool's joke or anything like that. But um, I'm gonna plan to try to probably do a video review of at least one or two albums this week. I also have my collection update, some CDs and a vinyl to show. Um, but not yet. But I'm waiting on that Chill Alpine Adventure thing. But yeah, but for today I'm gonna do, and I will continue the independent film series, but because I'm a little up against the clock, I had a little bit of drama, unfortunately. So I gotta just do something a little quicker. I'm gonna do CD A to Z, the letter F, part three. So a lot of stuff that I have only vague amounts of familiarity with, and it's not actually as alphabetically inclined. um, yeah, this is. Let's see here. Do this backwards again. Yeah, okay. So I got to do that. Okay, so the first one is it's a band called Felice Culpa. I think they're from Chicago, but they're kind of an empire band. This is their album. Everybody, yeah, sever your roots and bury the axe. From I want to say it was 2011. Yeah, I swear I saw them with. It wasn't the Deer Hunter, but it might have been like. Well, might have been like Russian Circles or I remember this, but I saw them live, and then I kind of got into them a little more after that, although I never got highly into them. I know Lorenzo from Alt Hardcore loves them. And they have a little bit of a post hardcore element, but they're sort of being progressive at the same time. It's gonna bug me who I saw them with. It was written up, yeah, contender for the best album 2020 2010 alternative press includes the bonus EP Bury the Axe. Yeah, unreleased songs, but haven't listened to them in a long time. I know they end up breaking up sadly. But God, it's gonna bug me. Yeah, this is the bonus EP. But I mean, yeah, you can kind of tell what their style. They kind of drawn. They're a little bit like Caddisfly, a little bit like you name the bands that are sort of doing progressive post-hardcore, that kind of thing. Even into Sirens. But the Felice Culpa, Felice Feli or Felix Culpa. I think it's pronounced Felice Culpa. From 2011. All right, so yeah, that's why this was all weird because I had this on the stack wrong. So the next one is a CD from a band called Fen. I'm pretty sure I got this from John Kalinch from Progression Magazine. I wrote down Tool meets 80s butt rock. Album's called Of Losing Interest, and it came out sometime in the probably the mid 2010s, early to mid 2010s. 2012 actually. Yeah. Um I mean that's the best way to put it. With the with that thing he sent me like 4 or 5 he wanted me to review him. He found my blog. I've been a subscriber to Progression magazine for almost 15 years at that point, mid to late 90s. But I did not want to review stuff he sent me. I wanted to review the stuff I knew or I like myself, but that's not how he wanted me to do it. So he got me. He said, "Well, the incentive is you get to keep the CD." So I kept the CD. But yeah, I haven't gone back to this. I mean, probably I'll put it in my Discogs account at some point, but I don't know how long I'd necessarily need to keep it. Fan of Losing Interest. I'm not sure where they're from. Somewhere in California, San Ramon, California is where this Ripple Music is based, at least. So I think they're from California. So all right. So the next one is this is the only thing I have from him, sadly. And I remember I got this. I don't know. It was like not that long after high school. Maynard Ferguson, The Essence of, which is a compilation. Growing up playing trumpet in band and in grade school and then in junior high and high school, Maynard, especially high school, was sort of one of the standards, and he has a version of Birdland. See, that's the thing I'm not fully aware of. Was his version of Birdland the first, or there was? I thought it was a standard, or was Weather Reports? Weather Reports is kind of the definitive. This compilation came out in Columbia in 1993, though, but it has Birdland on it. But we played. Yeah, it probably was Birdland actually, but we played some of his other stuff in jazz band in high school. I remember, but yeah, he's one of the sort of standard trumpet virtuosos of like the second or third era. Because I saw him the very first concert. I can't remember. The very first or second concert, I think I saw him once at least. The very first concert that I remember seeing was a band called Canadian Brass with my it was with my elementary school band. And I remember I stuck my feet up on the chairs in front of me and my band director got upset with me. But yeah, I mean he's with your Dizzy Gillespie's, your Louis Armstrongs, but he was from like a later era, so he's more Miles Davis contemporary. But he wasn't maybe as experimental as Miles. He's more of a traditional like hard bop, kind of jazz artist. So anyway, Maynard Ferguson, this compilation, the essence of came out in '93. It's got a cover of MacArthur Park. Yeah, I'm guessing he didn't do the original Birdland. I think it was a standard done by it might have been Louis Armstrong or Gillespie or one of the other. I don't know. He was like he might have been contemporary somewhat with Doc Severinsen from the Tonight Show. So the next one is Field Mouse. You Are Here. Field Mouse is a project that I got wind of, and they did a Kickstarter campaign. I like contributed because Andrew Fruitroll from the band The Age of Rockets was like part of the tour. Member, he might have played on this. Well, it's fronted by a female like singer songwriter. Um, and it's just your college art alternative indie pop rock folk kind of stuff for the most part. Little loops and stuff from I remember, but it wasn't. I wouldn't call it prog. I wouldn't even put it really in Empire. Mastered by Dan Romer. I know he was another musician. So there's like sort of I think they're from out east somewhere, like Connecticut. But saw them live. I forgot who the headline, the opening act I knew as well, but I don't know whatever happened to like the Age of Rockets, of course, which I knew they were still around, let alone these guys. But Field Mouse, You Are Here. I think they did a couple other records though, but I don't think they did a Kickstarter with it. But this came out. This was like late 2000, somewhere in 2010. Rachel Brown's her name, my bad, with an N-E. But yeah, Field Mouse, You Are Here. I think this was the debut album. So anyway, I don't remember if that was the one the Kickstarter was for or not. That's the thing I need to remember. But so all right, where was it? Was it had another? Oh, here it is. Okay, so technically this would be next. Field Music, the band from the UK who kind of has a bit of at least XTC. Oh my god, I'm to sign this thing. This is their album. This is a self-titled album, I think. Though I'm not 100% certain this is their debut. They have several albums. They have like 5 or 6 albums. They just came out with an album, I think last year before. They're a band that's like not the only band. There are bands that do this that I like a little more. I did see them live. I got tickets through Radio K, the college station here. Yeah, this album came out. It was like 2010, 2009, 2009. They seem to write a lot of music, have a lot of songs. They don't seem to like have. It's like they could use either a producer or editor that would sort of say, like, I feel like a lot of bands have done it, like the early Cloud Colored albums, Apples in Stereo. A lot of bands where they have a lot of songs. I like some of the songs. The only thing I'll say about them is like I've never found. I've always wanted to like them more than I have, but I still like them. I like seeing them live. I still follow them, but I like Crippled Black Phoenix, and they put out several records, or like maybe more so like Motorcycle, and of course King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So, but yeah, this is the one album I have from them. If I it'd be my go-to, they have a. I think this is also called Measure, if I'm not mistaken, but I think this is their debut album from 2010. So UK band. Anyway, they're Empire. I mean, they're indie rock, and then with their art rock, it's like the influence of XTC among others. So I've shown these in the Empire series, but here are my 2 albums from the band Fields, not the band from the '70s. I'm talking about the band from the 2000s. That this is their debut EP. They're not from England. I want to say, well, maybe they are from England. I remember I was looking this up. I like said something incorrectly. I thought they had like some Scandinavian element or background, but they may have actually recorded and eventually be based in England. But this is Seven Village from the Village EP, which was like 2006, which has Song for the Fields, the song they would put out, and then this is the full length album, their only album. They were gonna do a second album called Hollow Mountain, but they'd recorded it and mixed and mastered, and then the label dropped them like a few months before it was gonna come out. 2000. It was like 2009, 2010. But yeah, this came out in 2007, and it's like Pure Reason Revolution doing maybe more folky kind of stuff. For some reason the vocal harmonies Song for the Fields. There's I talked about this in that video back in 2000, the Empire of 2007 video, but Feathers is one of the other go-tos. Like it came out the year after the Dark Third, and there was like the male female kind of astral folk proggy elements, a lot of cool textures. It's a great record. It's a fun, energetic record. It has a little bit, like I say, a little bit of like European, if not British folk. But again, I'm not certain if they're actually the members are actually from a little bit like Mew, where Mew actually recorded some of their music in England, but obviously from Denmark. So anyway, the two Field CDs I didn't even show the booklet. But yeah, they're a cult band because people still like people have pined because that second album did they were some of the songs were on MySpace. I really liked them. Um, there's the EP. Um, and then some people like got a hold of it. So because again, it was gonna come out, and I don't know if they even had artwork. They might have even shared the artwork, and then they got dropped. I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was either 2000. I think it was 2009, but I'd probably look on my blog. It would be probably in there somewhere around that time. Um, all right, so the next one I have is a CD called Fifth Reason. I want to say I got this as like a sampler at like the Proud Power Festival or at a show at Station 4 because it's made in EU. It's a Brit, and this might be either a compilation, oops, or it might be that's the name of the band, a promotional copy, Scarlet, not for sale. So uh, came out 2001. Yeah, well, I didn't get this in 2001, I don't think. Probably sometime. I might have been at I said one of the Prague Power Festivals, but Fifth Reason, the way they wrote I'm pretty sure this is metal, but I'm not or gothic of some kind. So, um, okay, so the next one is this band called Filiger. This is one of many seeds. I bought this for $1. Looks like back in 2009. My common practice of hunting, trying to find gold in the stack, and the description here says mixing the pop-oriented piano rock of Augustania and the hushed sound and snappy wit of Bell and Sebastian. And Bell and Sebastian's a band that I've always wanted to like, and I've only sort of liked. I don't own anything from them. Billiger took root in Chicago in 2000. Brothers P. Da, 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 da. But and I don't remember even listening to this. Maybe I sampled it and never got around to listening to the full. I should go back to it. But Filler Near or Far is the name of the album. Um, came out in 2008, so that tells you when. But so it's like the next year. But yeah, I mean, they're just you still see them. You still see them probably these little indie labels. This Planetary. I was in February of that year, 2009. But I found some gems like Kunik and Diamonds, Age of Rockets. I believe that's how I found them. So it's just you gotta get some misses to get some hits. But I only paid $2 for it, so that was the reason why I bought it. It's like, what? I'll go for it. All right, so here is my yes. Doing this wrong. Yep. My fish collection, fish from Marillion. I don't have a big collection, being a fanatic of. I think I'm missing one of the CDs in here, but um, maybe not. Uh, okay, what did I show this in the albums of the year series? I think I did, but I don't have a ton of his CDs or albums. Being the Marillion fanatic and loving the Fish era Marillion still, but I do have a few. So here's my copy of Vigil in the Wilderness of Mirrors. But I swear I bought another copy of this, or I got like two copies because I remember finding one of his albums at Roadrunner Records many like back in the '90s. I ordered. I want to say it was B-sides themselves, and I also found this for like $1. But this isn't it. It was just the disc. It was not the booklet. But this is the debut album that came out in I think it was '89 or '90. Should know that, but around the same time as Season's End. And of course, there's a stark similarity between it was '90. The stark similarity between some of the songs on here and some of the songs on Season's End, and but go figure. But this, I find that this album does hold up. Again, I I'm guilty as charged for being, the Marillion lifer that I don't even know Fish's catalog like backwards and forth. I know what I own. I've listened to a few of their records, last few I've listened to, but I should know it better. But Yeah, I mean it's a good album. On his Fish on Friday, he's played a lot of the songs. I don't know if he's going to continue doing those or he's done with it. Because he did his retirement tour last fall and then early this year. But yeah, State of Mind's one of the songs I think of it for. So then I have the follow up, Internal Exile. This one I got. This one I got at Rasputin's in Berkeley, California. This came out. It was like 91 or 92, like the next year. Um, and this one's less, like Shadow Play, less like notable. The title track is one of the ones, Something in the Air. Um, and it doesn't have the Mark Wilkinson artwork, which is weird because Vigil did like the carry that on after he left Marillion because all the Marillion albums with him have Mark Wilkinson's artwork. But um, yeah, I mean, Fish's solo albums carry a lot of the Fish Marillion, of course, because his style of vocals and style of writing, the lyrics. But a lot of it to me is more like folky and bluesy at points. But it has its moments that are still progressive. Produced by Chris Kimsey, who I believe he's the one who produced Misplaced Childhood, also. So, but yeah, Eternal Exile came out and it was 91, so it's back to back years. So then I have, let's see here. I think, yeah, what I bought was yeah, okay. So I bought this based on, was it, what year was this? This was, okay. All right, so this would be the next one. And this is a live disc, I believe, called Sushi. Yeah, double disc, actually. Came out in 1994. And he does, I want to say he does some of them are like She Chameleon, Kaylee, White Russian, Company. But then some of the solo stuff, View from a Hill, Family Business. Family Business is the one he's played on Fish on Friday. The Last Straw. So it's a pretty the Dick Brothers. I don't know if his brother was producer or played in the band, but I know he had Mickey Simons as one of the as his keyboardist. Um, but never rejoined, of course, with Mick Pointer because him and Mick Pointer were at odds, much more than the Marillion guys. They still are, unfortunately, as far as I know. But yeah, I maybe listened to this once. I should go back to it. At least his voice hadn't been shot, but this was 94, so all right. And then I have this compilation because when I was getting into Marillion and getting into some of Fish, I was just okay, I'll buy a compilation and it had some different versions of the Marillion songs, which were Sugar Mice and Kaylee. It was they're not that memorable, sadly. But and then some of the songs from his first few solo records. It's called Yang. He had Yin too, and I thought I bought that as well, but it might be an import. Um, Came out in 95. Dick Brothers again. Maybe he signed a contract and part of it was he was going to release a compilation, so he's going to re-record some of the Marillion stuff. I don't know. He's kind of lived off the legacy of those four Marillion albums for really for somewhat since he went solo. He has a lot of original music, but it's like that band that tours that doesn't play their recent stuff. They just play their, he kind of has, unfortunately, because those are his most well-known songs, his most commercial songs, and the fans that are going to come see him will want to hear the Marillion stuff, especially because Marillion themselves don't play a lot of them. But this is Yang, but there was a Ying too, so it was like a double. I thought I had it, but I guess not. So the last one is my favorite. Definitely has my favorite piece that he ever did. It came out in 97, 98. It's called Rain Gods with Zippos. I love the artwork on this one. But it doesn't say the year on there. But I believe this is the one that has the Plague of Ghosts suite, which Steven Wilson plays on. I don't know if Steven Wilson also produced this, um, but I can't remember if I just bought this. I think I bought this after I'd heard it. I can't remember. I found a download or something, but yeah, that Plague of Ghosts suite is great. It's epic. It's I don't know if I would compare it to in the Marillion Epics. It's kind of its own thing, and it has a '90s feel to it. I feel like it was Fish doing progressive epic, stuff, but not sounding like neoprog or not exactly like neoprog. But I've not heard anything as good from him since. And I don't think I'm alone in that feeling. He's got some other songs on this album that are pretty good though, like Tumble Down rather. Which is interesting. Marillion did the Tumble Down the years around the same time, but it's on Roadrunner. But yeah, that's my Fish collection. So I need more, but it's a matter of budget and priorities and stuff. So all right, so I'll just show these. Yeah, I have two copies of one of my favorite EPs. Of course, I got the cracked jewel case on both of them. This is the Fiacra EP, Thought Steps. I have a couple vinyl from him too, but Fiacra the band. But my release of the year, if not album or of the year, maybe the EP of the decade for the 2010s. Um, it's all over the place in a really good way. The songwriting's still there. Unfortunately, he hasn't really he's done just singles and like shorter EPs since. And he's played with someone who was in his band, now been solo. He's been playing with this woman named Annie B. Fiacra, but Infinite Loops, loved, and it's like a sequel to Shadow Self in some ways from Kevin Gilbert. Um, Love Thrust Burns, Slyrex. I should know this by heart. I mean, the EP that was released later in the year. This came out in like it was like April and May or June. It's like the 10-year anniversary last year. I think I may have included it in a video, but he put out another EP that was just was fantastic too. Although it was more stripped down, but I'm of the feeling everything that Fiacre's done has been amazing. It's a little bit like Apes and Androids, but I don't know if we're ever going to hear anything more from him. But who knows? Get amongst it. Old time Nook. I mean, he's combining. I know he's not really into. I remember reading why he's not interested in releasing albums. He wasn't at the time, because he just felt like I'd rather just make songs, and he put so much into these songs. There's like big bang jazz, industrial metal, lounge music, progressive rock, and pop. It's like funk. It's like Prince meets Devin Townsend meets I don't know, Pepe Deluxe, really. So this is unbelievable. One of my favorite releases of the 21st century. One of the greatest EPs of all time. So, Thought Steps from Fiacra. It's like I said, he's a little bit like this next generation's Kevin in some ways, but his output's been so limited, it's hard to really make that comparison. So, all right, so yeah, in terms of order, it would be this one and the next one. Okay, so Flawed Logic. This is a CD from this guy I met at I want to say it was the guy I met him at Prog Power USA. Uh, Gentleman named what's his name again? His band's Flawed Logic. The condition of this unfortunately is not great. This book has been bent and maybe got wet. Um, it's progressive metal, really of sorts. Although I know he was a Flower Kings fan. Michael Kaplan, that's his name, and he's done like engineering, and I don't know what he's doing now. His friend was on Facebook. I met him at the 2009 Prague Power USA Festival, and then I think he just sent this to me because I told him about my blog and everything. But I haven't listened to it since. I know, yeah, this is like the last song is called 1 Year. It's 22 minutes and epic. But yeah, I applaud him. It's prog metal though for the most part, so it's not really. I mean, it takes some influence from other things, but it wasn't memorable enough for me to like go back to it enough. But I don't know. I could go back for listen to it again. I don't know if it's on Spotify. Maybe it is. But Flawed Logic, and I think it's a self-titled album. I don't know if he did anything else after this, but produced by Jimmy Wilgus. But I think Michael Kaplan like plays most of it, like the guitars, drums, bass, that kind of thing, in the piano and keyboard. So I only sadly have the one Bella Fleck CD. It's this Perpetual Motion. I think I bought this at one of the shows I saw him. Bella Fleck, I've seen him with the Flecktones. Saw him live a couple times. He just played at the Dakota a little over a week ago, but it was like a week ago today. But this album, I got him to sign it and everything. Of course, I know Victor Wooten, and I between Bella and Victor, I generally tend to favor live. I even like Victor more because his band's just out of this world and jaw dropping. But Bella's a virtuoso himself, doing like progressive bluegrass, really, his banjo playing. Really cool book here. It's pretty big, but I don't know if he got, because it's under his own name, but he had Joshua Bell. I think he had some other people. He didn't have the Flecktones on this. Chris Thile was from Nickel Creek, I believe. And then someone named John Williams. I don't think it's the John Williams, the Hollywood composer, but as a guitarist. But Edgar Meyer, yeah, he said Edgar Meyer played on it. See, I saw him with Edgar Meyer, and that was like 2006 or 2007. We went up, my friend and I went up to somewhere like St. Cloud or Sartell and saw Bella Fleck. But I think it was either that or we did two shows on the same night. But in this particular record, Perpetual Motion, he does a lot of these classical pieces. Scarlatti, Chopin, Bach, Tchaikovsky, Brahms. My cousin, who does, my cousin in flying forms and his own, with his wife, would probably appreciate this. I should ask him. But this came out, I want to say it was mid 2000s. Might have been a little bit later than that. Actually, this was 2001, but maybe it was earlier than that. I'd have to look at my. I don't have every Bella Fleck show I've seen. I saw him three, four, five times at the zoo. I know at Cedar Cultural Center, and I saw him. I want to say I saw him up in St. Cloud, but yeah, this is Perpetual Motion. So the last one to wrap this up, the end of the Fs, I believe, the end of the Fs. I'm not certain of that. I may do another F video, but I think this is the end of the F. This CD from this band called Flying Bulgar, the klezmer band. The Flying Bulgar klezmer band. The album's called Traditional Crossroads from 1999. I believe I got this as part of a deal through the Progressive Ears message board. Unfortunately, one of the members there passed away, and they wanted to do something with his CD collections, music collections. So I started sending portions of it to people, and I got whatever it was, 9, 10 of them, 10 CDs, and DVD. I think this is one of the ones in there. But I listened to it once, I want to say, and I think it was kind of some of the stuff was sort of in the yeah, I mean, it's klezmer music, so it has like a Middle Eastern tone to it. They use um, accordion, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole sort of genre into itself that I can take or leave. I don't mind it. I'm not like passionate about it. I wouldn't call it prog exactly. Yeah, the members of this band all have ethnic names too. You can see, but yeah, I don't know if ultimately it's a CD I really want to keep, but it was nice for them to send it to me. Unfortunately, in this tragedy about this person that passed away, but at least its music collection is being gone into someone else's hands rather than just showing up in a landfill or at a thrift store or something. So that's it for, I think, for the rest of the Fs. Go on to the Gs. At some point, I will get back to the independent films, but I felt like I was a little scrunched with the clock because I got to get going here. But thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.